Alright, so it's not every day that we change laws in South Africa. It's not every day that we change an act that governs an industry and how it operates and how it's regulated. But today, being the 1st of Feb in South Africa, is the day that the Property Practitioners Act of 2019 officially comes into effect. Now, what is this act and how does it differ from the past? Don't worry, Dwidgy's got you covered. What is up, everyone? My name is Dijesh. For those of you that don't know, I've been in the property industry for the past 9 to 10 years. I've been in the industry as a sales agent, letting agent, and managing agent. I have a holistic view from sales, rentals, developments, pretty much the whole works. Now, today's video is very important, especially for new people wanting to enter the industry as an estate agent. And we're focusing solely on the Property Practitioners Act. What is this act? And let's jump straight into it. So the Property Practitioners Act of 2019 basically replaces the old Estate Agency Affairs Act of 1976. Yes, this is the first time that the industry has a complete change in its act, meaning that the Property Practitioners Act now governs any individual buying, selling, letting, or involved in the commercial use of real estate. So what does that mean? This includes real estate agents, people financing properties such as bond originators, people down to your attorneys, as well as private sales and private individuals involved in the buying and selling of property. This act is obviously very new, coming into effect today. There's a lot that we still need to learn, and there's a lot of things that need to be rolled out with regards to this. So a lot of what you hear today on this video could be rolled out in the next couple of months and may not officially come into effect today. But as it is, the act has come into effect. It replaces the old act of 1976 as the Property Practitioners Act. What are the most important points of this? Firstly is your FFC. Now, your FFC is your Fidelity Fund Certificate. The new act basically goes on to stipulate or to say that any individuals involved in property, buying, selling, flipping, housing, letting, would need to have an FFC. So this obviously includes your estate agents involved in the marketing and selling of a property, your private individuals as well. Now I'm told that, and as per this act, that private individuals would need to have an FFC in order to sell. Your managing agents, before in the past, all it required was the company and the principal to have a Fidelity Fund Certificate. Now all those involved in managing multiple portfolio of properties are required to have an FFC in place, as well as those letting out properties. Even if you deem to be a private landlord, you would need to have an FFC. So this is very, very different, and it's completely different to what we were exposed to in the past, because in the past, basically FFC was just for property practitioners that basically market, and that's being your estate agents. They were the only individuals that needed to have an FFC. And now that this act regulates the entire scheme of property professionals, whether you're an estate agent, landlord, basically regulating anyone in the industry that's involved in property. Number two, the Property Practitioners Act obviously taking into account what you are labeled and classified as. So for example, in the past, if you were an estate agent, you had intern estate agents, full status estate agents, and obviously principal estate agents, but that's not the case anymore. Now you are labeled differently. You are now a candidate practitioner if you're an intern. you are a full property practitioner, if you're a full status agent, and if you're a principal, you are known as a principal property practitioner. So that is what I would be called. I would be called a principal property practitioner. So that changes the terms and what you obviously call your estate agents. We're not deemed estate agents anymore. We are deemed property practitioners. So that obviously changes our labels in that regard. Then when we look at aspects such as developers are required to have an FFC. Obviously, developers deal with the selling of developments, obviously construction of this. From a selling point of view, if a developer is to obviously sell their own units, yes, they would be required to have an FFC. The other reasons for having an FFC, I'm not too sure. The Act has not been very specific on that, but developers are required to have an FFC. So that is something that they would need to have as well. Then another aspect that you got to look at is that the Property Practitioners Act is about transforming the industry. Remember, in the past, through oppression and struggles that we've had prior to 1994, we're trying to transform this industry. So that's what it's trying to do. It's transforming the industry to include disadvantaged individuals in the property industry. And that the requirement of a lot of the companies now is to actually have your BEE certificates in place, where in the past that was not a requirement. Now it's actually a requirement to have BEE certificates in place in order to qualify for your FFCs as well. Your FFC lifespan, yes, usually every year. As per the old Act, you would need to renew your FFC every year, so on an annual basis by October 31st. Now it's a case of your FFC being able to go over a 3-year period. Implementation of that, I'm not sure whether it'll be 2022 onwards and what the new fee structure is going to be, but there's obviously a rollout of that and a rollout of the fees and the FFCs. A couple of other things to note also is that the Act obviously sets guidelines as to how property practitioners need to go out, regulate themselves from a educational point of view. So you still need to do the logbook, you would still need to do the NQF4, the PDE exams, but also now when you're operating as an estate agent, well, not estate agent anymore, when you're operating as a property practitioner, you need to have certain documentation in place for a property. That being some of the basic ones, obviously having a full disclosure document when selling a property or leasing a property, as well as having signed mandates in place for these to stipulate that you have authority to market these properties. Whether it's open, sold, exclusive mandate, you need to have a mandate in place for these properties. And that's very, very important, is that you've got to have all of those factors in place. This Act also puts more emphasis on your transferring attorneys, where in the past, transferring attorneys never really looked at FFCs, valid fidelity fund certificates when transfers are going through. Now, whether you're a private seller or an estate agent or property practitioner, as per se, you would need to have a valid FFC present in order to have documentation signed off and passed. And that's a very, very important aspect. What else does the Act obviously entail and what's laid out? So for now, there is the full Act, which is available on government websites. You can have a look at the full Act, and there's obviously transgressions for not adhering to the Act as a practitioner. But in terms of the full force of it and the repercussions, yes, there are repercussions there over time that you can incur, obviously, by not adhering to the Act. And lastly, we're going to look at the Estate Agency Affairs Board. So yes, this being a short video, the Estate Agency Affairs Board is now actually known as the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, not the EAB anymore. So they have undergone this name change as of the 1st of Feb. Thank you so much for watching this video. That basically covers the Property Practitioners Act and a little bit about it. In terms of the full act, there's more information that you can read in the description below, or access the websites from the description below to get the full understanding of the Property Practitioners Act. There's a lot of webinars and there's a lot of information that will be revealed as time goes on, more about the act that people can understand. But as of today, we are governed by a new act, which is new practices in South Africa. My name is Tejesh. Thank you for watching my video, and you know where to catch me the next time.